Well, today is a Sunday, and as you can see, it's an overcast day in November, but it's probably in the 50s at the moment. Not too bad. I think it's kind of a nice day. But yesterday was Saturday, and I went on my usual thrift store, auctions, estate sales, and yard sale sweep around the central part of Oregon. And among other things, well, let me show you. Of course, it has to do with tools in my shop. Well, I rearranged my toolboxes again. Why? Well, I'll show you why. First of all, that's what I bought. That cost me $125. Well, I thought that was a bit extreme, but if you consider, well, see this? This base cost me $40, I think, and at a pawn shop, yeah, it was $39.98, so $40. And the toolbox on top of it, which I'll grant you is a very pretty toolbox and is in great shape. And why did that fall over? Because I shut the lid, of course. Anyway, it's in great shape. That cost me $80. So together, that's $120. So this, much bigger, newer, nicer. Hey, it's if I wanted to buy that new, say a Snap-on, it's been well over $1,200. So I've loaded it full of my lathe tooling, and that's and I have got plenty. I mean, plenty of room left. None of these shelves. This is all empty down here. Then again, most of this is still empty. I emptied all of the toolboxes off of this and put my other Kennedy toolbox on it, just to have a place to put it. Other toolboxes are now sitting over here, excuse me, on the shelves. And as you can see, I've got this toolbox here, it deals with things like metal punches. Not something you use every day, but I've got a whole bunch of them, so they're all sitting in there. This one, I think this is actually an old Kennedy, but I use it to hold half-inch and larger sockets. I got driver bits and Allen wrenches up here, chisels here. I've got the punches out. They're sitting over here by the Dalton lathe. Dalton lathe tools are in this selection here. Well, some of them are sitting here, but tools and the like. I picked up, that toolbox was actually from Cherry City Salvage. And this thing actually came from a flea market up in Mill City. I also bought this chop saw at that flea market. It was a pretty good deal. I think it was $20. That's my metal supplies, some of my metal supplies. I have more of these drawers than I can shake a stick at now, but they're all very handy for holding things. Ammo, bullets, and the like. This thing I picked up a while back. It's two of them. They're some kind of a welder's carts, but I bolted them together, and I keep my older power tools in them. This toolbox over here is mainly mill tools, end mills, fly cutters, that sort of thing. Because after all, it sits between this Precision Matthews mill and this Jet 16 mill. And, you know, it does its job. This is mainly tool bits, drill bits, I mean. And as you see, I picked this up as at a antique store, and I loaded it full of the correct drill bits for it. I have drill bits in this thing as well, as you can see. And this is just full of drill bits, chucks, and the like. Things you can use. Oh boy, stay. It's my drill press. I don't use it much anymore, but here it is. This old metal thing here, I use it to hold my various kinds of wrenches. Like, well, you can see the vice grips are sticking out. Slide locks, dikes, hemostats, needle nose, weird wrenches. That one's full of weird. And this box is full of antique tools of one kind or another. Fun things like, well, That is a adjustable auger bit, obviously for a handheld auger. Oops. And here we have an automatic screwdriver. It actually, let me see if I can make it do it. Yeah. See, it has this bizarro sort of double-threaded rod that makes it go either one way or the other when it runs. Or things like this. This is for actually twisting two pieces of wire together. Anyway, weird wrenches. Screwdrivers in here, other supplies and tools in here. Here's two lathes. It's a Craftsman wood lathe in the back, and this is my very first lathe. It's a Grizzly micro lathe, and it's a wonderful little thing. I mean, let me see, if I turn it on, and then, yeah, it's I added this to it so that I have a power feed on the cross slide. But it was kind of fun. A couple of grinders in case you need them. Picked this up from a state salvage. I think they kept files in it. Obviously, I keep supplies, and well, I think there's hatchets in there, and oh God only knows what else. This is an old table saw that had seen its better days. Well, what I did is I slapped a piece of metal on top of it and made it a welding table. And it works fine as a welding table. Now over here, I picked this up from a widow who sold it on eBay, this Kennedy Toolbox. But it's sitting on this metal cabinet that I got at a thrift store, or no, an antique store in Lafayette, Oregon. And it was just great for, it's got all these drawers for holding tools and the like. Mainly empty at the moment. I also got this thing, forget where I picked it up, but it's also loaded full of tools. Extra copy of Machinery's Handbook. You never know when you might need one. And the Black Book. Very handy thing. Anyway, some welding supplies. That's a modern digital car battery charger. If you're going to do electrolysis, it's full of crap. It's not usable because it's got this brains in it and says, oh, that's not a battery. I can't deal with that. So it turns it off. And as you can see, this was an old pallet with some scrap wood that I put together and built a stand out of. And as you see, I keep my rather Mondo large wrenches on it. You never know. I picked most of those up used at like Goodwills right and left, or thrift stores, or flea markets, or estate sales, or whatever. But, I mean, I have everything from El Cheapos to Craftsman up here. And here's my main G0602 lathe again. And I got that from my father-in-law. It was in bad shape. It holds up. I've got boards around it to hold it in place because this is a rather heavy lathe. I built basically the lathe table out of it because it wasn't really useful for much of else. But I noticed that it's got some white stuff on those legs down there. That was from waterproofing I put on the concrete floor in my old shop in the basement in the city we used to live in.